Okay, so I'll just clean up my table.
I'm totally gonna leave that in. That's gonna be the first sentence of today's episode.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess by this point it will actually record. So yeah, this is a new episode of Radio Rothingham. I think it's episode 31 by now.
Yay!
Yes, it's marvelous.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle that we haven't died yet.
And a miracle that we are sleeping.
Hey, I'm working on it, Artrix. Working on it.
Okay.
It's
Well,
a
yeah,
miracle.
we're all working towards our, ultimate demise.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but I meant that I'm working towards your ultimate demise.
Okay,
I mean,
well, good luck with
nobody
that.
is listening to us anyway.
So yeah, I guess a bunch of stuff happened in the past week.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
what is that clicking noise? And whoever's making it stop.
Clicking noise, like so.
No.
Oh, then it's not me.
Really
Also-
solid clunk.
That's...
Well, if it's solid, then it's probably a good thing.
Yay.
Nobody wants sloppy.
might have been Astra then, because
Yeah, it was Astra.
she was the one
Who's
that
Astra?
just left.
Yep. she's
It's our token female. If we don't. Speaking of token females, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
But
Yeah,
Astra's not
elephant.
here.
But she'll be in due time. But something very important happened recently.
You can talk
like
about a
this-
woman without a woman.
You mean that Hillary Clinton cheated her way into president candidacy?
Don't be
Um,
ridiculous.
D-
Russia
David-
hasn't hacked into them yet. We don't know that.
Also,
Well, I mean, WikiLeaks already hacked into them, so it's fine.
WikiLeaks is usually right.
but yeah. So if you haven't been sleeping on a rock, and if you turned on any news station, it's like yay, the first woman presidential candidate.
The
This is-
only woman presidential candidate. There has never been a woman in politics before or
Nope.
after.
Nope, no one gives a shit that Merkel is the chancellor of Germany.
Honestly,
Like it's the most mundane shit on the planet. But of course, since it's America,
I
They're
think
like-
Ireland had a female president.
No, you don't exist.
No. And what was that person from the 80s? The Iron Lady?
Oh, that's what Astras is aspiring to be.
There was
Yep,
probably,
yep. I'm
there was
the next
probably
gotcha.
Churchill. It was Churchill in disguise.
Actually, yes, it was an genetic experiment, and they accidentally made it Thatcher, but they kind of had to put it under the blanket, so they
I
were
just
like, yeah,
killed 2 guys mid-fight with a rocket. That's nice.
good for you,
Yeah.
good job. So yeah, oh, go ahead.
So the America is continuing to prove that the only women who are in politics are actually lying, cheating, stealing war criminals.
As you do.
honestly, Hillary is just Merkel 2.0.
I'm pretty sure she's not German.
Also,
Oh,
she's
her-
probably more racist.
Well, they are both racist, honestly.
Yeah, but it's the proved kind of racist, so it's okay. It's
they're-
2016.
They're reverse racists. They're likely saying that Islamists and immigrants have nothing to do with elevated rape rates.
Because all those women are lying. I mean, of course, listen and believe, unless the person who supposedly raped you isn't a white guy. Then you are a stinking liar.
It's true.
But yeah, they already got the perfect solution for that. They got you covered, because as long as you keep an arm's length, then it should be fine.
Just send them to Sweden.
So at this point, I'm okay with this. I know I don't have any stakes, with the well-being of Sweden. So Just send him over to Sweden. Oh, okay. That one guy, the angry foreigner, he can be an actual refugee again, and he can come over to the Netherlands. I'm fine with that. He can live here.
So really, to be more particular on these events that we're kind of alluding to, WikiLeaks decided to publish Hillary's campaign emails from I think it's the Democratic National Party, and it showed
all those deleted emails.
Mm-hmm. And it showed that the Democratic National Party is their figurehead. It was another woman. I don't know her name. Sorry, I really should have researched this, but I wasn't actually talking about it. But they'd rigged all the political rally events to suppress Bernie and inflate Hillary's exposure, which is great.
Exposure to Hillary.
Like they'd rigged it so anytime that there was a Democratic debate, Hillary would get 90% of the stage time, and Bernie would get the dregs after everyone had already walked out, getting sick of listening to a woman rant for 2 hours.
Then Black Lives Matter steal his stage anyway.
Mm-hmm. That was probably advised by the National Party as well. Oh, it's great. I love American politics.
Mm-hmm.
I love politics.
Yeah, I'm really taking it very seriously, especially
I
in
think
this.
They're possibly the only country in the world that could do something so culturally, such a big cultural upset as having a woman run for presidency in a country that's never had a woman president, and make her look like the worst person ever for the job.
I don't know. The Brexit came very close.
Well, it's working. I mean, now all the worst people can vote for her.
You mean all the hipster racists? They're like...
Yes, those.
Sorry.
Gesundheit.
Agreed.
Over here it means true. If you sneeze after someone says something,
Yes.
it's absolutely true.
Exactly.
Wait, is my microphone working?
It's working just
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Don't worry about it.
Paranoia, yeah!
As
Don't
we
worry,
previously
Astra.
told you, do not fuck with the settings. They're working fine.
Yes. Do not reset anything. Do not install anything, and do not use it.
Okay.
Don't touch any buttons.
I'm
Just sit
pressing
there.
the red back button.
Although I'm pretty sure immediately after we told you not to fuck with the settings, you just get disconnected from Discord and fucked with all the settings.
Oh yeah.
He's just pushing all the buttons.
I'm doing it right now. You hear that? Big button. I'm pressing it.
Okay.
Let it be, let it be, let it be,
No.
let it be.
Yo, in other more
Wisdom.
pretty
Let it
news
be.
and pointless, someone discovered recently, by experimental trial, that if you put a small propeller on a really big wing and cover it in solar panels, it will eventually fly all the way around the world.
Eventually,
that's
if you're lucky.
Eventually.
Eventually, if you walked in a straight line, you would theoretically eventually walk around the entire world.
Yeah, but no.
But
you're not
oceans.
solar-powered. And yeah, you can't cross oceans. I'm pretty sure exactly what you just said is wrong.
You can swim.
But the airplane that they built worked. It was like, my God, all these advances in avionics for the last 100 years that demonstrated quite well that airplanes work very well, and they brought all this technology and managed to fly a tiny lightweight string of a plane with solar panels and an electric engine around the entire globe, and it only took about a year.
Only.
Yeah.
But it's the thought
One
that
vote,
counts.
1 year.
I'll take one ticket, please.
Hmm.
I
I
mean,
mean-
obviously, this technology is very useful for
Everyone.
weather balloons. Wait, no, they don't need solar energy. They just float by
They are
themselves.
also faster.
No, we have satellites.
They are also faster.
Uh,
But Panboy, this is just as successful as solar freaking roadways. Okay, I'll take that back because this thing actually works.
no, it's functional. Really slowly flying glider with a few solar panels. I mean, I'm just confused as to why people would have looked at this idea and said, this probably won't work, so we should experiment. No, I looked at this idea and said, yes, obviously that's going to work. Why do you need to do this experiment? It just seems like an incredible waste of time to me.
Well, I honestly think it's less of a waste of time than the whole solar freaking roadways thing, because the solar roadways are just the monster English. You do the basic maths and you just find out, okay, this shit isn't going to work. You're like, okay, so you put this solar panel here at a non-optical angle. It's small. It's covered in dirt. It breaks and shit. But it's going to not just power itself, but the entire planet.
Now, Artrix, I don't know how you can be dismissing out of hand something so simply, because solar freaking roadways have gotten approval for a small-scale test installation on the famous road in America, Route 66.
Wait, it did get...
Oh yes, it did.
They collected 66 million and have enough money to build 66 centimeters.
They are going to do something extremely ambitious with this test rollout. They are going to pave a small part of the footpath with solar freaking roadways.
Yeah!
Just like the bit outside the welcome center. That's it. Just gonna put down a few
That
solar
sounds
panels.
pretty fucking... I mean, they did something similar in the Netherlands where they took a bicycle path. So they were like, yeah, okay, here's a bicycle path. We're going to cover it with solar freaking roadways. And I think like less than a month later, there were already cracks in it.
Well, basically,
And then
from,
bicycle traffic.
I think from every experiment I've seen with this particular implementation of solar panel, everyone's come to the confusion that do you know what? This is difficult, hard to do, really high maintenance, and is probably going to break. It would be a million times cheaper and more effective to just put solar panels on sticks.
Or, all that wasted space in our world, roofs that no one really uses aside from not getting wet and that no one really looks at and whatnot.
This is why we used to make roads from stones, not solar panels.
Okay. You know what? Since we're, rethinking everything anyway, since, critical theory is a thing, let's go all the way. We need to rethink roads. And not in this sort of roadways thing, because that's not going far enough. No. What I propose is that we make the roads from rubber, and the tires on our vehicles need to be made of stone.
Yes.
Let's flip this shit all the way. So,
I think applying again critical theory to your experiment, as far as I know, stone is not expensive, and rubber is quite expensive. Although I can understand why you would think this is a good idea, because solar freaking roadways are not just quite expensive, they are absurdly expensive. Like to pave an entire road with solar panels is, well, to just do it with solar panels, it would cost about $2,000 per for every 2 feet of road. I mean, 2 feet lengthwise, so you multiply that by 30 feet across, so that's 60 feet of road. Actually, it's probably going to cost more than that.
And how much is it in real units?
Shut up.
It's almost as if the people who came up with this concept do have no idea how the real world works.
No, I have no idea how much it actually costs to pave a road. but I'm pretty sure it's not like 6 to 10 grand per foot. Because if it was, I don't think we'd have very many roads.
I mean, I once calculated if I wanted to place my, energy usage by solar panels, it would cost me like 10,000 euros. And that's just for like 10 panels or whatnot. So yeah,
that many probably won't even fit on your roof.
Probably not. Then again, no one in my apartment block is using solar panels, so I could do it. It would just mean that everyone's like, "Hey, why do we have solar panels and we don't?" And
you'd be like, "I paid for it.
Mhm.
Screw you, not mine."
But yeah,
there are effective uses of solar panels in conjunction with transportation. Imagine for a second you have a train that is powered by electricity.
I want a train.
Okay, think about that. I know it's a very foreign concept. You wouldn't see trains powered by electricity anywhere, except, outside. Anyway, now just imagine, as part of this rail network, this hypothetical rail network that doesn't already exist, and definitely doesn't have poles built that can support electrical cable function. Infrastructure, and can possibly hold the weight of a few solar panels too. I mean, they're not very heavy. Now, imagine for a second that you took all this infrastructure that's already built in this hypothetical scenario of the world that doesn't really exist, obviously, and you just put a few panels along it, on top. I mean, above the cables. And then you could also use those same cables to carry the generated electricity. That, however, I don't really know. That's you would probably have to use a step-up transformer or something to put it onto those high voltage lines. But then you could produce, you could at least contribute to the cost of running that train. Just a little bit, That seems a little more feasible to me.
nonsense. Solar roadways all the way. Here you are trying to be practical. Come on, it's 2016. We don't do facts. Don't you know facts are oppressive?
But my way doesn't require pulling up every piece of road and replacing it with fragile tiles.
Okay, that sounds kind of good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
let's do it right away.
Fragile tiles. Fragile tiles made out of super hard glass. And if you've ever seen glass shatter, you know it doesn't shatter very nicely. Okay, so imagine the explosion of glass as a very heavy truck runs up the road, clips off one of these tiles, the tile flies into the air, shotgun spread of super hard glass, harder than the ceramic they use in frag grenades, just blasting out at every car and behind the truck.
That's very good.
Badass.
I like it.
Let's do it. Let's do it immediately.
I mean, this is just one of the minor issues I can think of with solar freaking roadways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's minor. I mean, the guy behind the truck in his ordinary self-driving Tesla car with autopilot, the autopilot's gonna be like, well, shit, I'm staying between the lines. It's not my fault if you just got shot and blasted by glass.
We just need to program the Tesla cars to avoid the glass shards.
They would probably have a much better chance of doing so than a driver.
I saw a documentary from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
There was a car that did the same thing.
Oh no. Was it? Oh yeah, I think I heard they wanted to have like radar-driven cars on the roads, but you'd just you'd have to install radar transmitters at every 100 feet. Yeah, that doesn't. When you actually look at how many lampposts are on a road, that's not actually that impractical. It's probably impractical on interstate roads that go for miles without a lamppost, obviously, because they're out in the fucking middle of nowhere and no one wants to transmit electricity to lampposts.
So they just put those little reflecting rectangles into the road.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's a road here. Oh fuck, a deer or kangaroo.
Yeah. Oh, kangaroos. That reminds me.
Oh god.
Have you heard of this little event called the Olympics?
No. It's sports, so
What is it?
yeah.
Something about food?
Yeah.
Tasty.
You get people from all around the planet. They come together
And
and
eat
they
them.
go to a hotel and they eat. They compete to see who can eat the most.
Nice.
Oh, so this is another kind of Olympics.
So
Interesting.
it's basically quantity over quality.
But anyway, so this year's Olympics are happening in a place called Rio.
Yeah.
And Rio is a very nice city on one side of the river,
is-
and it's a horrible slum on the other.
Yeah.
But that's not really the point, you know.
Is it a cyberpunk city?
No, it's
It
just
sounds like a cyberpunk city.
no, it's just a modern dystopian hellhole.
So it is a cyberpunk city.
It's basically it's more like Mad Max.
I mean, we basically live in cyberpunk. I mean,
Not
we have handheld devices that we can connect to a worldwide network that has shady places that when you have right info can connect to and do anything you want.
Now one of the many eating events in the Olympics is people get into these little rowing boats and they attempt to out-eat each other while they're rowing down a river.
Oh my.
That sounds disgusting.
And well, some people have pointed out that this might be slightly problematic in the river in Rio.
Yeah.
Because as locals described the river in Rio, they said it smells like shit because it's full of shit.
It's still better than Ang.
Because
You know,
the
river.
river in Rio is basically just used as the untreated sewer for the entire city.
A river
So
of-
like
raw
rivers used to be the whole history of humankind.
like
Yes.
Ganga.
Yes,
Just
but
like Ganga.
it's not. Most cities do something called waste reclamation to try to not actually dump our entire load into an actual river.
That's so Roman Empire. Come on.
It is. It's pretty Roman. Aqueducts and water reclamation
Yeah.
and clean water and flushing toilets. I know
That's not,
Rio.
that's not modern.
Actually,
Rio has none of that.
Actually,
Well, because they are modern, you know. Romans are not modern, so yeah.
As
Yeah.
the Australian team learned when they tried to go to their hotel, they checked into their hotel, the Olympic Village they call it, which is built specifically for the Olympic events. And the Australian team went into their Olympic villa, and they had a few minor complaints.
And those were.
The toilets were not hooked up to the sewage center of the city in any way.
Oh.
That's a detail.
The electrical cables that were supposed to provide electricity to the building were in some places not connected, and in other places just kind of out in the open on the floor, hanging out the ceiling. You
Wow.
know, as the electrics should be. In fact, it reminds me of my
yeah.
It reminds me of my college, DIT Gavin Street, which was declared unfit for use. So they said it was under constant what's the word?
Renovation?
Yes, it was under constant renovation since I was there. From the day I went to college to the day I left, it was under renovations for improvements. You know, that's your loophole. It's like your
They were
building's unfit.
constantly improving it.
This building's unfit for use. We're fixing it. We swear. Oh, okay. Just
at least
carry on.
Russia doesn't need to feel bad about themselves anymore.
Oh, Panboy, they're just perfectionists. You know, they fix it and they're like, okay, we have better fixes now. Let's fix it more.
So in response to these minor complaints that the Australians had for the state of their stadium or their living accommodations,
Australians of all people.
the head of the Rio committee said he'll send a few kangaroos and and koalas to make them feel at home.
Oh.
Okay.
You didn't need to say that.
Yes,
Oh,
Well-
wow.
the kangaroo part anyway.
Oh. No wonder so many athletes not going to Rio. 'Cause the state
That's so
of the
nice of
stadium.
those.
No, Astra. They're being banned from the stadium because they're Russian and full of drugs.
Oh, right, okay. I'm getting my my lines crossed.
As you do when you're Russian and full of drugs. Come on, Astra.
The Italian team had a different approach to the problem of the hotel not being finished. They hired engineers to fix it.
Wow.
Are you saying that Italians actually did get something done?
Yeah, the Italians went to the hotel, said this place is a shithole, and rather than pay for another hotel, they paid for engineers to fix it.
I am somehow, this concept of Italians getting shit done, pun intended. that's
Okay,
unknown
the
to me.
important question is are they northern or southern Italians? Because there's a world of difference.
They're probably Sicilians, so they've probably left a few
Oh,
people behind
yes.
to take care of business.
Sicilians are known for knowing how to solve problems.
Concrete shoes?
Hmm. Well, I suspect perhaps most of the committee of Rio de Janeiro's Olympic campaign will be in concrete shoes by the end of this.
Oh yeah. Swimming with
Well, no, Panboy, no.
Look,
You
nobody will notice a few extra corpses in that river.
Don't say such bad things, Panboy. They just be inspecting the river closely.
But they were overcome with its majesty.
Yes.
So yes, the Rio Olympics are off to a good start, and the event hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, it's supposed to start next Friday.
It's Friday or next Friday. Yeah.
And as Astra mentioned, most of the Russian Olympic team is not going. But
I wonder why.
not for the
I
reason
wonder
Astra
why.
suggested. It's because they've been banned.
Yeah, I know.
Again.
Or still.
But the Russians have a solution to this banning.
They have no Olympics.
Just get more Russians.
Yeah, the Russians are literally hosting their own games, which aren't the Olympics, and they will have much looser standards of competition.
Russian only.
In Russian Olympics, drugs are allowed. You're required to have at least one drugs in you. Or maybe two.
I
So
think
basically,
the Russian version might be the most entertaining games ever, because you're just going to see a bunch of roided up, steroided out of their heads, druggies running down the field. I'd say half of them won't even know that they're at a competition. They'll be on PCP or some shit, and it's like okay, what you have to do is you have to run from here down there, and the guy will be like, what? It's like, just run. Someone's trying to murder you. Ah! And then he'll just take off.
If you're in Rio,
Think about the
someone try and
disciplines.
murder you, so it's not much different. to be
Think
honest.
about the disciplines, Panboy. It's Russia. Wrestling a bear, shoveling 5 metric tons of snow. Stuff like that.
Juggling giant logs on their back.
What are you talking about? Fair.
I do think it would be very entertaining to see a sports thing happen where no drugs are prohibited, nothing whatsoever.
That's what I was going at, because it's like in Soviet Russia, it's all about the fun. It's all about having all the drugs and just having fun.
I can see it now. During
Yeah.
the opening ceremony, they come out in full sportswear, Adidas, and,
Exactly.
cans of.
Well, Astra, if all the drugs were allowed, they wouldn't come out in sportswear. Some of
yeah,
them
I
would
mean,
come out.
Yeah.
Some of them would come out in the drapes from the hotel, and some of them would be naked.
In this Russian Olympics, it's the official Slavic squad tournament. Whoever does the best Slavic squad
Well,
wins.
you don't need clothes to squat.
Exactly.
There's
All you need is some
contest.
seeds of
The
First
only,
one to pass
the
out
best
is
selection.
gold or whatever.
the only important thing is protect your balls.
I don't know.
Well,
Have you ever heard of what people on PCP do?
Yeah, I know. That's why I said protect your balls.
or take PCP2.
These people are going to be tearing each other's heads literally out of their sockets. They will be like zombies. They will use the entire capability of human strength, which is very untested because nobody's ever on enough drugs to actually do it.
And that's
What?
why the Russian Olympics will be so much more amusing.
For science!
Exactly. It's like
For the Ratcher.
it's almost like George Carlin's pay TV idea, but instead of criminals and whatnot, we just use Russians. It's a win-win for everyone.
Like,
It's basically the same thing.
Especially the Russians.
the warm up for the events will just be semi-trained medical personnel coming out onto the field with adrenaline syringes and ramming them straight into people's chests.
Well, anywhere they think the heart is.
Yeah, it's somewhere around here. Just stick it in there. Don't hit a rib. Why?
Just as long as you don't hit a rib, it's fine.
And even if you do hit a rib, just keep pushing.
It'll go through eventually.
It's a big needle. It's sharp.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. We'll make it a tournament. We'll make it an official sport.
Steroid pumping.
I agree with this.
Hypodermic adrenaline darts.
100.
Got a guy on a dartboard spinning like one of those blade contest things. He's just like throwing darts on a giant dartboard with the guy strapped to it.
Yeah, only the objective is not to miss him.
Yep.
Well, if you hit the ice, then you get a few penalty points. But other than that, you're good to go. Just have fun. And also do all the drugs.
Yeah.
Oh, drugs.
Drugs,
Oh.
okay. Okay.
The winner gets a round world trip on the solar-powered plane.
Yep.
Well, that should be long enough for them to detox.
I think that would be the goal.
I think these games would be in the true sportsman spirit that it's important to participate, not to win.
Oh, of course, yes.
Aye.
Everyone's going to be a winner, including all the people that died during the competition, which is
And
exactly
remember,
why.
everyone, the Olympics is an amateur sport.
That there's going to be not 3 medals but 40 medals for each discipline, provided that they can find all those people.
Exactly. And also, incidentally, the medals are also drugs.
Yes. They'll be going around these sewers and searching for all the escaped contestants. Who think it's the year 2700 and there are zombies everywhere. Actually, as Panboy said, they would be the zombies.
Great. Drugs.
Drugs.
Need all the drugs, all of them.
Yes.
That's also a sport. Seeing who can do the most drugs. That's just the event. So
That's like the warm-up.
Even the audience participates. They're doing drugs.
You get a table full of drugs and who can down the quickest.
Who can drug the most drugs and the most drugs.
Yes.
I like that Keith Richards is the reigning champ.
So before the event starts, they're getting a drugs test, and then it's like,
You have no drugs, mate.
yeah, I'm afraid
What
you're
is this?
disqualified. There's not even aspirin in your system. What are you?
Comrade,
Gee,
what is this?
what is this,
not
comrade?
sportsmanlike.
There's not even aspirin in your body.
Yes, at least take this acid. It's free.
It's free. It's on the house.
Oh god, I'm just now picturing, some starry-eyed young person entering these games for the first time. They're like, I'm going to be a hero and compete in the competition of no drugs. And then, one of these giant roided out people goes up to him and says, no, sorry.
Dreams crush.
It's like, yeah, I don't think you know.
I don't think you got the memo. I'm sorry. Oh god.
Speaking of things with absurd power, they're building a new nuclear power plant in England. Somebody apparently has common sense and realizes that,
Oh my god.
the cleanest available.
Answer.
Well, no, not exactly, but the fact that nuclear power is a very clean and powerful energy source, and it makes sense to build power plants that are nuclear. But it's good. It's good. See, the British don't have this bizarre fear of nuclear power. Possibly because they don't live on a fault line, so they don't have to worry about earthquakes destroying delicate power plants.
Yeah, they are not in the Soviet Union either, so there's no threat of it melting.
But here's one very real danger of the UK trying into nuclear power.
It's the Welsh, isn't it?
No,
This
it's
is first.
no, that's a problem. They have one reactor, so only a portion of the power comes from nuclear power. But let's do a slippery slope here. So they built one, and they kind of get a taste of it, like this is pretty good. Then okay, I think I'm hooked. We're going to build more now, and they're going to build more and more and more until they have like 95% of all the power comes from nuclear, and then they wake up and they look in the mirror and they realize that they've become like the French.
Oh no!
How did we allow ourselves to become like France? And France like, ha, sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu. It's going to be like in Scotland when in the medieval times you had castles popping up everywhere. Now all those castles are going to be torn down and replaced with nuclear plants.
What are you talking about? The castles usually have like these watchtowers. If you just convert them to exhaust pipes. I mean, don't these stones make for good radioactive isolation? Okay, you may have to close some gaps and shit, but
a great number of gaps.
But those castles were actually pretty advanced. They just didn't realize it. They were like, yeah, we just built these walls really thick, then we protect ourselves from the attacks, and they were right. Except it's not attacks from arrows, but the radioactives.
But that is the best way to trap radiation, is just by using a fuck ton of mass. So big old brick castles are actually possibly perfect for nuclear power plants. But no.
Well, you hear it, guys. We need to build more castles.
Yep.
But no,
Let's
nuclear
start doing.
plants are built from scratch in an empty field, and they use a giant concrete mold.
What's the
Apparently,
fun in that?
the actual nuclear reactor part of a nuclear reactor is like the size of a standard room. I mean, just think of your living room. It's probably smaller than that.
Yeah, the core is about the size of a car.
Then you have like this 10-foot thick concrete wall wrapped all around it on all sides, just to keep the bad things in. Yes. And then you have a few pipes coming out that go to the heating turbines, which carry superheated steam.
And then you have like a tennis court pool full of those cooling rods.
Yeah.
And it's all blue because radiation.
That's where you drop the hotness into when it's too hot. It's like, yep, our reactor's too warm. Just drop it in the cold. Perfect. Now we're not all going to die.
Maybe.
Science.
It sounds so simple when you explain how nuclear energy actually works, and then you wonder how these horrible accidents happen. It's like, wait, if a nuclear reactor is that simple, if it's just a hot thing in a box full of water, why do they break? And then you think, yes, seriously, how do they break? They are. Yeah.
It's people.
Well, it is a chemical reaction,
Hey,
No.
it's
No,
not like
it's
it
not-
stops people. Like,
It's an atomic
Look-
reaction.
look at Chernobyl.
Hmm.
It melted down, and then everybody had to move away, but it still worked. So they still generated energy there until like the year 2000, and during that time, 2 reactors caught fire. They were like, okay,
fires.
it's on fire. We are going to close it down, and the rest is okay. So we're just going to continue generating power from those that work.
It's just the worst thing about all this is, I mean, this is positive news to me, but the thing is, apparently, conventions or meetings of the board have been blocking this building of a nuclear reactor for best part of a decade. Like the guys go, we want to build a nuclear reactor, and the board say no. Like, oh,
It's scary.
like, you can't have nuclear energy, but
It's new.
it's clean and nice. And the amount of waste produced by nuclear is like 5 barrels a year. How much waste does a coal plant produce? We don't really count. It all goes up the chimney.
But there was this one time that the one thing melted down, and the other time when it was sitting on a fault line. They are dangerous. No.
Yeah. There was a huge wave of paranoia in Ireland a few decades ago. When I was growing up, there was a plant called Seleke. It still exists. It's apparently
I proved that the
treats-
paranoia was false.
it uses depleted fuels to generate electricity.
Oh,
Interesting.
So
a recyclation plant.
yeah, reclamation plant. But yeah, it continued.
Cool, actually.
It supposedly had some kind of leak at one point, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, we're downwind of the power plant. We're all going to get cancer in Ireland." I was like, "Oh, little nuclear wind never hurt anybody."
Implying there's not already cancer in Ireland.
Oh no, it's been pretty well observed that if you live under power lines, you're probably going to get cancer.
Well, there's as it happens, there's a power tower just behind my house.
You might want to move.
I'm going to get all the cancers.
No, that's a legitimate
It-
risk.
it-
Like, how
he's-
close is this power line?
Few hundred meters.
Then you're fine. I mean, I'm talking about when the power lines are literally going over your house.
But it's one of those giant things, towers.
Pylons. That's what they're
Yes,
called.
pylons, probably.
There is. It might be a little anecdotal, but there's a set of pylons that run across a housing estate next to my housing estate, and there is a noticeable trend that the houses nearest that pylon tend to have people with cancer in them. Just it just seems to be a trend.
So how many cancers do you have?
6.
None. I don't live near power lines.
Also, that's
there's
also
a-
gonna be a event at the Russian Olympics. See what gets.
Living near pylons?
Yeah, and also who gets the most nuclear mutations. It's like
Collecting cancers.
collecting cancers. Yeah, it's like
Oh,
you go sit in this reactor. See how many mutations you get.
So they're going to do the games in Chernobyl, is what you're saying?
No.
Yeah.
They'll just they bring their own.
Still in Ukraine.
They'll
It's going
just
to be just like Stalker Panboy. One of the disciplines will be not throwing.
no Panboy. They're just going to build a reactor right in the smack middle of the Olympic stadium, and fuck cooling and shit. They just put a bunch of rods next to each other. They'll react. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly how you get a nuclear meltdown.
Details.
That's the point.
And that's why all the athletes have to come prepared, bearing nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Just come in your lead-lined bodysuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can do that.
You have to think in you have to think in solutions. Don't be so pessimistic.
And
Just
pack one or two red away just in case.
Perfect. I actually just thought of the best idea for the future Olympic Games, because in the future we live in where everything is nuclear. So everyone must wear a 2-inch diameter, like a 2-inch armored suit made of pure lead, like like a medieval suit of armor, only lead, like that has 2 inches of coverage on your entire body, and see how far you can run in it.
That's heavy.
It's also it's healthy.
Yeah, so it's healthy. You know, it'll keep
Yeah.
all that background radiation off you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you are going to probably get lead poisoning. It's better than radiation poisoning.
No, you don't get lead poisoning from surface contact.
Yeah,
Unless
like,
you're really, really sweaty, like you might be in a giant lead suit.
but yeah, like Ken Bensley from the Iron Giant said, we live in the atomic age.
Mm-hmm. So you'll be fine, you know. You'll just, do your 100 meters in the lead suit, and everyone will applaud while dying of background exposure.
But that's a price, everyone should be willing to pay.
That's beautiful.
Because in the terrifyingly nuclear bright future, where everything has a dull blue glow.
I like the blue glow.
Let evolution do its job, So
Yeah.
people eventually just adapt.
Think about it. If everything is irradiated completely, we won't need lighting anymore because everything will be nice and blue and glowy.
Part of evolution is actually true because the animals and plants living in Chernobyl have in fact adapted to the radiation.
Yeah.
Radiation that is so strong it at places could kill a person in a few seconds.
But
Now,
you should
here-
see the slugs.
Here's a problem I have with the statement you just made.
Yeah?
Yeah, you said adapted to radiation. No, life doesn't adapt to things. What happens is things kill everything that the life can't live with. No, life survives and then lives.
Well, talking
Prosperous.
about stuff,
But that's basically evolution.
Yes, but
In-
it's not adaptation. See, things don't adapt. Things die.
in the close
Those who do
in
not
the
die-
close Pripyat area, things actually don't really. Well, they do die, but they don't decompose because the radiation killed most of the bacteria. So
Well, the bacteria that-
everything that dies composes very, very slowly.
Well, I'm sure new bacteria will
Yeah.
will rise to take the whole.
I mean, it's 30 years, so yeah, by this time there are no new bacteria, but it was a problem like the first 10 or 15 years.
But
There was just too much food everywhere.
Burning is asking me to specify why I said everything would be glowing blue. It's because the radiation emitted by most nuclear reactors and most nuclear materials is actually blue. It's called Chekhov, or
Yeah,
I think
something
it's
like
Chekhov
that.
radiation.
It's Chekhov radiation.
And no, common radiation isn't green. No matter what the TV has been telling you for your entire life. No, things that are radioactive glow blue.
Well, there's exception, like the trees. The trees in Chernobyl turned red because of the radiation.
That's
Also
Cool.
because they didn't decompose, because there were no bacteria. They actually had to come in and destroy several acres of wood because it was just a clump of red radioactive trees
oh, wow.
Why
that did not decompose
why didn't they just leave it?
because it would keep being radioactive. They chopped them down, mulched them, and dug
But
them
it's still
a
radioactive.
few meters underground.
And it-
I have-
It kind of helped, to the decomposing process.
Just a little bit.
As far as I know, burning green just looks better on TV.
So
kind of reminds
Which
me
is weird
of how the
yeah.
Hulk was originally drawn as gray, and then because it was easier on the printer, they just made him green.
Oh, that was an interesting bit of info.
That's very strange. I thought black and white inks would be cheaper than green inks.
Black
because
black ink is cheap, but not gray ink. Gray
Well,
ink, at
that-
least back in the day, when the comic was originally published in the 60s, what gray ink was actually supposedly pretty difficult to come by.
Even in modern printing, they don't use a thing called gray ink because that's not what's used. You create grayscales by using a roster of black.
Yes, you combine the black ink and the white ink.
No, you just put a bunch of black dots on the paper and optical illusions make it look like gray.
Basically the printers back then weren't as advanced, so it was quite a hassle to actually achieve the grayness.
That is true because in the very early days of comics, offset printing like we do now was not very advanced. So you basically had a few colors and black, and it just sort of, when someone needed to color the pages, they just had to say, okay, this is red, and this is like green, and this is blue, and that's all the colors you get.
And then Artrix came and made everything yellow.
Yes, I was around in the 50s and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and invent offset printing now. Here, you have like virtually all the colors of the rainbow that you can print now. And they gave me quit 60 and I was able to buy a smoothie. I was able to go to the malt shop and get myself a vanilla malt.
Ooh.
While listening to 50s music in the soda pop cafe. I don't know 50s terminology.
The newest Elvis records are out.
Oh, gee whiz! That sounds like so groovy. Oh wait, that's more like the 70s, isn't it?
Yeah, groovy is 70s.
Yes.
Peace, man.
Now here's a real question for y'all.
Okay.
Does anyone other than me actually have a topic to bring up? Because I feel like I've been steering this ship too long today.
Well, I've got a topic or two. I mean, like today it's been the 10,000th day of the World Wide Web existence since it was just conceived as a paper.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's a pretty interesting thing. So
I've got nothing.
Okay, Xaverius, announce the thing.
What thing?
You
As
know.
for having nothing.
Astra.
I don't know if I have to voice. It's the Astra Hour with Astra.
Okay.
Piss off.
I decided that today's Astra topic will be either her wiping her laptop, making it great again, or the Steven universe. 1, 3, go.
Also, vibe Steven, make it less sucky.
No. Stop it. Stop.
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 Yeah, I found that my laptop was sluggish, so I restored it to its factory settings.
Exciting.
Mhm.
I know, right?
And here I thought you would have actually chosen to talk about Steven Universe instead.
No, I spoke about that last week, I think.
Yeah, but didn't you watch new episodes? Did it get any more excited?
Didn't you watch the old episodes?
Yes.
Didn't you watch all episodes again?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, you have to make sure that the episodes are technically accurate.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, I've seen some conversation about Steven Universe happening.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are all like, "Look at this little Steven boy. He's all like, oh, look at all these gems. We can make peace with all of them. They're all friendly, even though they're all trying to murder us. Except for this one. I don't like this one. This one is bad. Be mean to that one." And people are like, why is the Steven picking out this one gem to be mean to?
Actually did it several times to several people in the most recent episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steven seems to be having this case of I don't like people-itis.
Yeah.
Where he's picking out people to not like and bully. He's like,
And he doesn't seem to be aware of it even.
Ah. It was like, there was an episode where there's this like guy, he was all like, I have a car, I like to drive fast. It's like, he looked at Stephen, and Stephen had a car, and Stephen's car was like a shitty old hatchback. He was like, I bet you can't drive that car fast. And Stephen was like, oh yeah? Well, if I knew how to drive, I'd totally drive this car fast. And then he was like, oh yeah? Well, screw you. So then Stephen did a magic and grew 6 feet, and suddenly knew how to drive a car fast.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
And then he was like, okay, I'm going to drive fast car race. And then the guy was like, I'm in a modern car, and you're in a pocket rocket from the 80s. And Stephen was like, yes.
It was a 90s car. It was a 90s car.
Shh, shh.
Shh, only dreams now.
He's doing the stories.
And she was like, well, yeah, but this car can do 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, because they were insane in the 90s when they made these cars. Jesus Christ, what were they thinking?
Well, it was the 90s, so they probably didn't think.
Man.
That is a true story, though. The fucking hatchbacks in the 80s and 90s could go faster than supercars from 0 to 60. Nobody knows why, but it happened.
Because back then they still made good cars.
So Stephen has this race with the guy, and they're like, they almost die several times because they don't know how to drive a car.
Such a disappointment. They didn't even die.
I know, right? They really should have died. 2 kids who don't know how to drive a car, driving a car at insane speeds down a bendy road on the side of a fucking cliff. They should have went off in like the first or second quarter, but no, they didn't. They didn't die at all.
Doesn't make much sense.
So okay, but then they're like racing the guy, and then they're like, oh, actually, do you know what? That guy said the view was pretty, and it is. Why are we even doing this? And then they copped onto themselves and decided not to win anymore.
Did
So
they kiss?
they finished the race. They didn't have to kiss; they were already having sex.
Well, it is my progressive cartoon, so that that only makes sense that they would
by
do
the
that.
way, if you don't know, in Steven Universe, people can do this thing called, gems, which are alien beings, with Steven as half of one, can do this very intimate thing called fusion, which is used sort of as an analogy for, sexual relations, but also for a way of beating people up. It's very strange. So what you do is you get really intimate with someone, you get to the baby making time, but this also makes you turn into a beast 3 times your normal size and strength for reasons.
Well, Shakespeare did call sex the beast with 2 backs for a reason.
But there was Shakespeare, he was an idiot. He didn't even know where Denmark is.
So the gist of this whole thing is this: the main character in this show, who's supposed to be like a forgiving Jesus character who loves everyone, and he's getting really pissy at everyone he meets for the most trivial of reasons. He's like, that guy said my car's not fast. He's a dick. I'm gonna race cars with him. And then, nearly kills himself in a car that he's never driven before, because that's what you do. That's what a rational person does. They get into their car and they drive it like a moron and almost die.
Well, that sounds like a sound lesson that you teach to our children.
Yes.
Well,
Especially...
the lesson was not to get obsessed with things.
But yes. Kids, if you're listening to me, and I'm going to take you out a 1980s hatchback for a joyride. Don't.
Talking about old cars, I saw a plethora of old cars today. I was just sitting in the job place, chilling, not working, because that's not what you do when you're at work. And suddenly there's a very old, like vintage, very painstakingly cared about car under our windows. And then there's another, and another, and there's more of them. Apparently there's been some veteran rally or something.
Oh, there's a car show in your town.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
There
have
were cars. And then I went out and looked at all the cars. It was nice. There was this giant Buick Riviera, I think. It was a car that had like 6 meters at length. and
Oh.
seven at width, because that's how they made cars.
Was it a big old American, Land Cruiser?
Yes, one of those things from 70s.
Ah,
That use like 7 dinosaurs per mile.
I love those cars. You look under the hood, it's like, how many cylinders in this car? I don't know. I stopped counting after 10.
It never ends.
It just keeps going. It's just like engine for miles.
Yeah, you can probably use SI prefixes like, okay, this car is 1 kilo kilo engine, kilo cylinder.
Apart from those, there were cars from the 20s and 30s. Those cars that you can see in Mafia.
Those are pretty cool.
Including the box cars, and including the Art Deco cars. Also, that there was a nice little car with a very small 2-person cabin that had at least 30 cylinders, because seriously, the motor was about twice times the length of the rest of the car.
Oh yes, that's how you make cars. It's like, how many horsepowers do we need? Well, these engines aren't very efficient, so 5.
I did like those high roaring 20s cars, because they are works of art. They are totally Art Deco. And the fact that all the people who were driving them were dressed in period accurate costumes.
Oh,
did
that's pretty
add to
cool.
it. Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Sometimes I wish that we sort of went back to that as a society. These days, you walk down the street and everyone's just casual. But just imagine.
Well, they were also casual, but their idea of
but
casual
then-
was a suit.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure the society you're describing is a fantasy only exists in television shows.
I don't know.
I think-
Artrix, back then you would be a poor person, and they did not wear suits. They
I'm
wore
pretty-
suspenders.
I honestly, I think we possibly live in the most relaxed period in history.
That is
The
probably
most
very.
relaxed
No,
period.
nobody's shooting at you unless you live in Germany, and it's generally okay.
Like, when you walk out into the town, how many hobos do you see? You just
One
see
or
a-
two.
Yeah,
A
but
few.
They are not actually hobos. They have houses. They just chose to drink booze every day, entire day. So
and,
they sleep in a ditch.
and how large is the shanty town that borders your city?
It used to be pretty big, then they bulldozed it.
Yeah, basically. And
ran
then they moved all the gypsies behind the town. So
Okay, well, you two live in third world countries. The rest of us living in the civilized world, not Rio.
we live in the slave land. Come on.
Remember, once the Muslims culturally enriched you, we will be the only civilized country.
Yeah, we will build the first world country.
Look, here's the sad reality of the situation, which actually isn't very sad at all. The slumlands in my current country, Ireland, are 3-bedroom, solidly built concrete houses with small bedrooms, but their roofs don't leak and are not falling off. They have electricity and running water, and there are 2 cars in the driveway.
So wasteful.
And one of those cars is
How rich those people in the slums are.
and one of those cars is painted bright orange, has a spoiler and a body kit, and a imported illegal transmission.
So you're saying that all those people living there are faggots?
Yes, and also have more money than they can actually spend to live on.
That's
So
freaking wasteful.
Well, the closest things to a slum here is where all the gypsies live.
do you understand? Do you understand that I'm describing the poorest I'm describing the poorest areas of my city
I know.
being able to afford to be wasteful.
Yes.
That's my point.
Well, the thing closest to a slum over here, and I don't mean over here, but at the nearest city town, is the area where all the gypsies got moved. It's a bunch of shipping containers, just put on each other, and they have rooms inside them. Actually, better rooms than my house has. And they have free electricity, or at least they had free electricity at the time they got moved in and stuff. And they even bought them cupboards. I never got a free cupboard from the town.
And the reason why they don't have any electricity now is because they ripped out all the electric wires to sell them for booze and glue.
I think some of them pay for the electricity. Like there's the chief gypsy and the gypsy king, Pharaoh Lakatosh, and he's like the only one allowed to have electricity.
It's like a great privilege.
Yes, exactly. Then he grants the privilege to somebody else, so they just take some random wire they have lying around and splice the electricity.
Exactly, just daisy chain the electricity to the entire village.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have to if they didn't pull out the electrical infrastructure that was built for them.
Yeah, but that's gypsy life. Everything's fine dandy, then they fuck up, then they remove the electrical wire, and then they're like, well, then we just daisy chain the electricity to the entire village.
But then they're just spending money on buying cabling that was already there, that they wouldn't have to spend.
They're not buying it, they simply put some aside when they were ripping it out of the...
Exactly.
But yeah, I find it very strange that in my country, which has such nice welfare systems, that we also still have just gypsies. We call them travelers. They live in caravans and they're just as annoying as gypsies are everywhere else.
We don't have traveling gypsies, courtesy of communism, because they're like, oh good, you're traveling, we don't like this. Then they took them and put them in a, what's the word called?
In a recreation park where they can fulfill their deepest...
They put them in a normal
apartment
complex. And then, like 20 years later, the complex of flats had missing walls and windows and insides. Sometimes there weren't even stairs.
They basically ripped it all out and sold it for booze and glue.
The thing I don't understand about these people is they've
been doing it to each house they've been moved since, because they were just taken from their caravans, which it's not a house because you live in something that's pulled by a horse or other gypsies, and they've been put in a house and they don't know what it is and how to use it.
Gypsy caravans aren't pulled by gypsies and horses. They're pulled by welfare state Land Rovers.
Well, maybe at your place, but in our place it was the 40s, you know? Well, the late 40s, but it still was the 40s. And they were communists, you know?
They just had their little revolution. They just had the little revolutions, and they have kind of to show the world, you know, like, we're not a bunch of poor fags. We actually produce shit.
The glorious revolution of going to the old, almost senile president and bullying him.
That's a good revolution.
Power.
It was basically like, hey, sign these papers and we'll stop bothering you.
And he was like, yeah, sure. I mean...
Also, they basically had militias waiting to shoot everyone.
Oh, obviously, communists.
That's what they're very good at. You know, bullying people, using violence, standing on platforms, yelling, using megaphones. That was the joke till cheapback.
Basically just standard social justice.
Well, it's no coincidence that they are so hung up on social Marxism, and there's like the Democratic Convention, and you go outside and it's like people waving Soviet flags, and then you wonder, am I still in America or what? Because it's starting
waving the Soviet flag, you don't even know what it is.
So they probably saw it on some Facebook post and they were like, this sounds pretty cool.
It's like the Che Guevara guy, right? He was a very wholesome person.
That they were like, hey, there was an entire country that was socialist and communist, and
sounds great.
Sounds great. Why isn't this still around? Well, it was probably America that did it, so
Yeah.
they didn't collapse under their
See,
own weight.
the reason why I didn't think it was great is that the people who lived really miserable all died because of hunger. So
Details.
yeah, there's nobody left.
Also, Xaverius, that isn't. They never achieved true communism. They weren't true communism. It's just state-funded capitalism.
Impossible. True communism is impossible.
That's why it's an ideology. It's a utopia. It was literally named the communistic utopia.
So,
Yes.
how about them topics?
Well,
So-
there's been this Windows update that's
Yeah.
anniversary update that's being prepared.
And usually you celebrate the sort of thing, but I don't know about this one.
This sounds
Windows
makes
is
me sound,
celebrating.
I'm nervous. I use Windows. I use it every day.
Please elaborate.
Well, from what I gather, they're
Panboy, do not worry. It's very friendly and nice and advantageous to you, and it will improve your user experience.
That's
Well-
never been true in history of reality.
to be
Come
perfect.
on, it's Windows 10. They are very nice to users, user friendly and all that shit.
I hate
To
your
be fair,
name.
basically what they're doing is they're tying in the Cortana thing with your basic search function.
But that was
Um,
by default anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
And that was also not what I was wanting to talk about.
Okay. So what did you want to talk about?
In short, they are removing some of the group policies from Windows Professional.
That
Removing them?
And they are doing the same thing they did with the telemetry.
so
If you don't
even
know
if
what
you
that
have the
was,
pro
you
version,
can you can go to group policy settings and shut down the telemetry.
Mm-hmm.
Except when you don't have the what's the called Enterprise Edition, which is the highest, I think.
Mhm.
Then you may turn it off. Like you can change the value, but it stays on. And
Yes.
if you look at the description, the Enterprise Edition, it literally says that on the lower versions it does nothing. It just pretends it does something. And they are expanding this great functionality to some other policies.
Oh, so what you're saying is this new anniversary edition of Windows 10 will make the buttons do what they say they do.
No,
no, to the
Oh.
contrary.
they are,
Oh.
they are expanding the great functionality of these telemetry settings.
Oh, so the buttons will do less than they say they do.
Yes,
Gotcha.
unless you buy Enterprise. Like you buy Professional, so you can control your system. Ha! They got you.
Oh, don't worry, I didn't buy it.
You thought you'll be able to control your system? Oh come on! You're a user, and this is user friendly.
Yeah,
You know,
being
what,
able
actually,
to.
you know what's a great idea that amused me today
Hmm.
about the user friendliness of Windows 10.
Yeah, go ahead.
In all my life, I did everything that I wanted through menus in Windows. But on Windows 10, it's so user friendly that I had to start using shortcuts.
And the command line.
Yes.
You know, they keep improving the system so much that now you start doing things the same way you did them on DOS. Like,
Basically,
want to run a program? Bring up your command prompt and type in the name of it. Just make sure you have it in the path, or it won't find it.
Yeah,
Oh,
also,
by the way,
Oh.
because Pat now uses the search functionality, if your search decides to, corrupt its index like it does all the fucking time, if you have it indexing a lot of things, it just won't work. It won't say anything. It will just sit there and idly not work for till you click somewhere else.
that happens to me very often. It's so
Yeah, but-
funny.
But yeah, the way Microsoft is just trying to make Windows more and more of a shitty tablet-y operating system and forcing this whole Bing thing on. They're basically trying to be more like Google and Apple.
They are
and-
trying to make it a cross-platform. The store, that it's compatible
Yep.
across all the platforms. That's definitely copied straight from Apple.
They're basically trying to make it a walled garden and...
But
Yes,
Windows' greatest selling point is it's a premium closed source operating system that works rather well, but is still open.
Well,
it's open to developers to do whatever the fuck they want with it.
Well, you would think so, but the store doesn't even use exe, which means they are trying to steadily phase out the Win32 format of doing things.
Don't be ridiculous. They'll never get rid of the desktop. I want the desktop to stay forever.
They will try.
They will try, but they probably fail because
They already tried to get rid of
the applications.
They already tried to get rid of the desktop, and look at how that turned out.
Legitimately, Microsoft have said that they are not particularly happy with the level of sales through the Windows Store.
I wonder
They are
why.
basically trying to force everyone to go buy from there.
Yes, but nobody wants to buy from the Windows Store because everything the Windows Store runs in modern UI. It's not called Metro. It's called it's Metro.
But it's flat Metro.
It's flat and awful, and I hate it. And don't want to use it. It's bad.
Did they actually fix the feature of games running in maximized window instead of full screen?
I have no idea. I've never run anything in the Windows Store.
Yeah,
Me
because
neither.
they did it. And of course, because you were running it through their new file format.
But here's the thing.
I don't even know I don't even know what it's called. The not exe. Yeah, so if you're an
Windows
application
Unified
in
Platform.
that
Yeah, for something.
well, yeah, you couldn't even use it without the store. Which
Here's
is no.
Actually, I think they have fixed the problem you're talking about. In DirectX 12, which is what everything is supposed to run in through the Windows Store,
Yeah, supposed.
they're not supposed to have the frame rate restriction of running at the same frequency as the desktop. So games can render at 150 FPS, but only display at 60. So that should get around the problems of full screen window, because the problem with full screen window is VSync is jammed on if it's in a window, and if VSync is jammed on, there are events that there are particular things that happen in games that cause your frame rate to dive if VSync's on. And I don't actually concern myself that much with frame rate because I'm not a super hardcore mega Spurglord gamer.
Nerd. How is it
You
graphics?
also have a video card that has 3 fans, so
I
you're
do.
set.
That automatically means you win.
You probably have all the frames all the time.
I do. I'm running. I just checked the part picker list for CPUs considering to upgrade, and I checked the top 10 list, and my 5-year-old CPU is still there at like number 8. So I'm like, well, I have no need to buy a new computer until this is at least outside of the top 10.
Good job.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And before your computer, unlike that computer from the 90s, is actually obsolescence proof. So
Yes, it's an e-machine.
yeah, I still find that that was amazing. Well, I also think there was like a big asterisk attached to it, like but only this.
Never
It doesn't-
obsolete at running Office 2000. It will run Office 2000 into the year 56,000. But it won't run Office 56,000. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm confused now.
Me too.
Yay.
However,
Oh.
we haven't actually spoken about the terrible things that happened this week.
Oh yeah.
Do we really
Each-
need to? I mean,
Well,
It's been a nice showcase of a new day, a new attack.
okay, I just want to mention one thing, and it's not explicitly awful, although it is. It's about a certain person's reaction to the awfulness that's been happening.
oh,
So there's a somewhat famous character who is considered a figurehead to a small population of the earth. His title is the Pope of the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Sure.
That's very minor. I don't even know why you decided to bring him up.
And he said, in response to the recent troubles in the world, that we are definitely at war, but it's a war of the people.
Not religion.
And yeah, it's a war of domination of peoples, and not a war of religion. And he goes on to say, all religions want peace, others want war. Do you understand?
Which is bullshit.
I'm like, no, that's straight up wrong. Okay, I would honestly think that most people, when they actually think about it, most people do want a peaceful world, and I think that's true. I think a lot of the people who have been persuaded by these military powers, they think they're fighting for a more peaceful and better world. Although I'd say if quite a few of them actually are just fighting because they think they'll get paid and they'll get power and don't want a peaceful world. They just want to get the kind of power a bully has in schoolyard. He's like, oh, I can beat everyone up. This is just fun for me. So I think a lot of ISIS are like that. They're just bullies on power. But I think it's really, really missing the point to declare that this isn't a religious war when it's possibly the most religiously motivated war that's happened
in a long while
since the Crusades.
Yeah.
Although I also want to point out that a lot of people compare ISIS to the Crusades. The Crusades had maybe 100 fights. Maybe a little more than that.
Well, the ISIS doesn't even have fights.
No, ISIS
does. It does.
But not over here in the lands they're trying to cut.
No,
Crusaders
over here they just persuade people to go murder people at random. At least the Crusaders had some semblance of targets. The ISIS people don't. The ISIS extremists will just wander into any house, any public space, any church, like they did that the Pope was responding to when ISIS broke into a church in the middle of a sermon and publicly beheaded a priest. And I was raised Catholic, so I have some respect for priests. And to me, just beheading someone on a church at the altar is kind of foul.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't like religion. I just think this is a really horrible thing to do.
It is
in any religion.
So in front of people as well, like that.
Of course it was. ISIS liked to make everything public.
Yeah.
I think
And then you have the Pope coming into Poland of all places and saying that they should accept refugees. Then Poland is like,
no.
Oh, I posted a picture.
Yeah, I see it. Wow.
The man is naive.
Yeah, and the same goes for Hillary. He's like, let's let in more refugees.
Let's let in. Wait.
Let's open the doors to ISIS.
No,
And-
look.
You don't need to. The ISIS will blow them up.
Here's the real problem with the refugee problem. The governments want to look nice. They want to say, oh, we're accepting the refugees and we're letting in these people who are fleeing war. But so many people are applying for refugee status, or not even applying, flooding to the border and trying to overrun it. They literally can't actually vet them. There's too many.
Yeah.
So you've got this problem where half of these, well, actually probably closer to 90% of these refugees aren't even from Syria. They're not fleeing from war. they're just seeing an opportunity, and they're not being stopped, and they
They
should.
want to culturally enrich everyone.
And
Yeah.
you have people in Germany and whatnot, people that are not idiots. That are like, maybe we should, be more careful. We're not
should
even
be.
asking for complete another stop. Just have some screening. Just we need to stop it now and screen the people that are in here now and get a grasp on the situation. And they have people like Merkel that come in and say, no, you must stay the course because it's so peachy.
Merkel is a complete and utter moron, and I want to see her assassinated.
I don't want to see her assassinated, but I do want her to be removed from power at this point. I do not think she actually, looks out for the interest of the German people.
Well,
And it
we
doesn't-
should combine-
and
we
before
can
anyone is-
combine all those things and wish for her to be defenestrated.
Yeah.
I mean, and then before anyone's like, Artrix is racist because you're talking about real Germans or whatnot. No, this also affects, what?
You know what a defenestration is?
What?
It's throwing out somebody from a window.
Okay.
And our country did it like 3 times.
Yeah.
One of the times it started a Europe-wide war that lasted 30 years. It was called the 30 Years' War.
That sounds just peachy.
Are you
The-
saying you want to throw a German politician out a window and start a 30-year war?
Yes.
Oh,
No.
I'm
Why
good.
would I do that? I would have to go to Germany for that.
Yeah.
Let somebody
Also,
else do it.
come on, Panboy. We'll be in Germany in a few weeks, so yeah. I
are you
want.
suggesting I do it personally?
Are you suggesting
no.
it's expanding so fast in a few weeks it's going to be in Ireland?
No, but
I mean, the Britain
I-
leaves EU and the Germany is trying to secure the rest.
well, we do have to go look for Astra because God knows where she'll be when the Artrix con actually happens.
She'll be
like-
lost in she'll be lost somewhere in Germany.
So Astra gets to the plane.
Living on whatever she can steal from people's gardens.
Astra gets to the gates to board the plane to Frankfurt, and they're like, "Well, yeah, that's fine, all, but we have to increase your ticket price." And Astra's like, "WTF, mate? Why?" And then they're like, "Yeah, but because we are currently on the other side of the planet, so yeah, we need to spend a little bit more fuel." And then Astra's like, "Okay, so how far from Europe are we now?" And they're like, "Well, let's see. There's kangaroos hopping about, so it's on the other side of the planet."
And then find out it's like a 24-hour flight.
Yeah, instead of just hopping across the English Channel and hopping across the Netherlands, now we have to go all the way through, across the oceans, across India and China
Now,
and
At least now you have
Russia.
kangaroos, so the hopping should be easier.
Oh yeah, if you catch the kangaroos, put them in the turbines,
Yeah.
that sounds like, that's way better than that solar powered
Green
airplane.
energy plane powered
Yeah.
by kangaroos.
Why didn't we think of this earlier? It sounds even better than that Hyperloop shit.
Yeah.
Just
No, God, the hyper.
Well, obviously you can use emus, because emus would kick everybody's ass, so you have to use kangaroos.
What's our badasses?
We haven't even spoken about the Hyperloop.
I think we discussed it last week, but
Yeah.
Yes.
if there's anything you want to say
At
about
the very
Hyperloop?
least, we mentioned it.
It's still a dumb idea.
It's a
Yep.
loop. It's very hyper.
It's riddled with problems, and I don't even think it's really solving a problem.
It's not. It's just a
Thank-
high-speed train that costs a lot more
Exactly.
than a
I am
regular
not a
high-speed train.
structural engineer, so I don't care.
It would be much more efficient just to build a train.
Yeah, I mean, the United States doesn't even have proper, high-speed trains. So if they start building those instead of fucking around with some experimental, the hyper train shit that might not even work. And also, America, the Thunderfoot actually did a fairly good video about this, in the sense that building these hyper loops, you run into problems like tectonic plates and shit, which is a thing that happens in the US. So you build like a really nice straight hyperloop, you're like, yeah, Oh yeah, that's nice. Straight. Hard. Hyper. Also, I heard myself echo. That was creepy. And then there's an earthquake, and like, oh shit, there's a bend in it now. And oh shit, that train just crashed. At going the speed of sound, it went straight into a brick wall. Ouch. All these people are dead now. Whoops. Sorry.
Like, okay, there's a reason all the railroads fell apart in the US. Also, it was kind of orchestrated by the motor company, but it was also kind of natural. It was, okay, so America used to have the biggest rail network of
on the planet,
any country ever. And then cars got invented, and everyone was like, wait. So I can either wait for the train that runs twice a day, if I'm lucky, to get from this city to that city, or I can drive for 6 hours. I'm gonna drive, because then I can do it whenever the fuck I want, and I don't have to wait for the goddamn train. And also I can use this car for everything else as well. Like, fuck it. If I have the car, I don't need a train. And then passenger trains ceased to exist in the States. And they were all the American trail lines pretty much just one giant freight carriers. And, trains are actually really efficient for freight. It's grand. So there's that. And then after the car became so prolific, airplanes started being very useful for long distance trips. So you've got this huge domestic airline industry in the States, where it doesn't cost very much to fly from one city to another, or from one town to another. They've got all sorts of small aircraft. And airplanes don't have to fucking worry about the state of the ground, or having rails, or earthquakes.
All they have to worry about are terrorists.
Yes. But, airplanes they're not the most fuel efficient, but they're definitely the most time efficient. And
they're also pretty fuel efficient per person using them. You have to keep that in mind too. So yeah, a airplane uses like on one gallon of
backup pilots.
But on 1 gallon of fuel, the airplane is able to travel from like the New World Trade Center thingy to like, I don't know, the docks. That's like really small distance. So yeah, that's a very low fuel efficiency. But yeah, there's like 150 people in an airplane, so
they still burn up quite a bit of fuel. They as far as I know, plane engines compared to ground-based engines aren't as good.
No, but since they're being used by a lot of people, if all those people took their cars, they would use more fuel than a single airplane.
That's true. If those people individually all drove.
Exactly, and that's why they're relatively more efficient. Not, they're more fuel. They use more fuel for the trip, but they save fuel in the sense that, those people are not gonna drive.
Yes, but if all those people took a train,
then
a solar-powered train in a vacuum tube,
that's also covered by solar freaking roadways.
The vacuum tube or the train? I vote for both.
Both. The vacuum tube is covered by solar freaking roadways, and the train is built on solar freaking roadways, and the humans sitting in the train are built for. Wait. Never mind.
So progressive.
I'm gonna do it. Android 18's hair is made of solar freaking roadways. I'm gonna do it right now.
But here's the thing: high-speed trains exist. If you were going to invest the money in building a almost perfectly straight train track, it would be much more cost-effective than building this damned tube. The trains won't cost as much money. The track won't cost as much money. The risk of accidents won't be as high. The maintenance won't be as high. Okay, the train will be slightly slower. Maybe it will only be able to go at a tiny 500 miles an hour, rather than Mach 2.
But also, you're on a train. You can do shit on a train. You can pull out your laptop, and since you're on a train, it's also not like sitting in an airplane, which is very cramped. You're in a really convenient train where you can build all these shit like the power socket and everything, and people can just browse the internet for a few hours.
Or if you want another high-speed, energy-efficient vehicle, a rapid-speed hovercraft using ground effect, so it doesn't need the same kind of lift thrust.
Now that's something I like.
Or instead of fucking around with tubes and shit, why not just build the maglev? If you were going through all the trouble of building a tube and shit that makes the train go Mach 2, why not take it one notch back and just build a regular ass maglev? Which should take you up. Which should take you at like Mach 1 or something, I don't know.
There's maglev from all the sides of the tube.
Yeah,
maglevs are good. That would work. I mean, they're very expensive to build, though.
Yeah, but the Hyperloop
haven't taken off. The Hyperloop is a maglev.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an idiotically overcomplicated maglev.
Exactly. Why? So if people are considering buying a fucking Hyperloop, why not just build a maglev?
Because the Hyperloop is what's popular.
Okay.
It's got Elon Musk, PayPal, then SpaceX, then whatever the fuck else he's spent money on. He's this charismatic guy who's getting he's an idea guy, but better still than an idea guy, he's an idea guy with a fuck ton of money. like anyone can be an idea guy. I can have ideas, you can have ideas, that guy can have ideas. Idea guy is a 10 a penny, but an idea guy with all the world's money, that's actually because then people can go to him and say, hey idea guy, I had an idea, you like my idea? And he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I like your idea is awesome. My idea is retarded. What was that? How much money do you need? All the money, thank you. See, I think that's kind of how this is going. I think people are presenting ideas to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is like, it is Elon Musk, isn't it? Oh fuck, I can't remember all of them. And then
I'm pretty sure Elon Musk is Elon Musk. Yes.
Yes. And then he's like, that was my thing. I'm going to fund things. That was the idea of SpaceX. It was like, fuck yeah, get people into space. People want to be in space. Here's some money. Go to space. They're like, okay, we have no idea how to build rockets, but with all this money, we can get someone who does. And the same thing happened with the train thing. It was like,
yeah, that's how it works. It's called investors.
And Elon Musk is just like this big fat investor who'll fund anything.
Yeah. Except video games. Did he found a video game? I don't think so.
Oh yeah, he also did Telsa, isn't he? He's funding Telsa with our electric car program. He's like, okay, well, let's get a bunch of electric supercars out on the road. Then when people are interested in electric supercars, they'll be interested in electric performance cars. Then when they're interested in electric performance cars, they'll want ordinary electric cars. And when they're interested in ordinary electric cars, they'll want, shitty electric cars.
Still think he should fund video games.
Anyways, I think we had a good run for this episode. We've been going for well over 1.5 hours, so the outro music's playing now.
And it's gonna crash.
Oh, so far there we go. It crashed a little bit, but it's going down. It crashed, but just a little bit. So
it's a small crash.
So yeah, solar frickin' roadways are the best idea ever conceived on the planet and the entire galaxy. Not in the galaxy. I mean, I don't know what's beyond the galaxy. So maybe there's another galaxy out there that has a slightly better idea, but just slightly,
A galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did establish that, watching Star Wars is like watching a live feed of what's actually going on right now.
No, don't worry. I'm sure that solar-powered plane can get to another galaxy in 5 billion years or something. I don't know.
Yeah. By the time it reaches another galaxy, the galaxy will already be exploded, and yeah.
Doesn't matter. We'll have more galaxies.
Hmm?
I'm not sure if that's how galaxies work. I'm afraid.
Anyway, thank you all for
also
watching
that,
yet
yeah.
another episode of Radio Rothingham. Like, subscribe, whatever.
Dislike.
No, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to press the
You
dislike.
can dislike if you want to.
You're not allowed to. My social justice friends and I have decided that disliking is now a microaggression. And if you click the dislike button, it will be microaggression, and then the police will come to your door to investigate the microaggression that you do.
Check your clicking privilege, shitlord.
Exactly. You know,
But
people have too much freedom. Yeah, you shouldn't let people vote and everything.
Yeah,
Vote,
people have too much freedom in clicking. From this
Exactly.
day, you should click only on our videos on YouTube.
But the
You
person
only-
who wrote the paper describing microaggressions says that the current implementation of it is retarded.
That doesn't matter. It's my idea now. I hijacked it, and you know, he just doesn't know well enough, or she.
And I
It's-
just farted. And it's the same quality as what you just said.
No,
yeah.
it's higher quality.
I
Now
wouldn't
the
know.
music's fading out now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Die, music, die.
Solar frickin' roadways.